Good afternoon. Human resources planning and unit first. An overview of an overview to human resources planning and corporate objectives. Unit 2 Human resource planning process, tools, and techniques. Relationship between HRM, HRP, and HRD. Unit 4 Human resource development concept and nature. Evaluations of functions of human resources development and challenges to HRD professionals, job analysis, design, and process. Human resource development and recruitment, selection, introductions, and placement, and performance evaluation. Introduction. Human resources planning is one of the most significant resource of organizations and the fruitful planning. Human resources become relevant in case of a changing world, and the resource human resources becomes relevant. Human resources introductions human resources planning is one of the most significant resources of an organization, and the fruitful planning of an organization's human resource and becomes relevant in case of a changing world. The the shortage of human assets, and developing desires, yes, desires of the current labor, and have additionally expanded to the many sided quality of the human workforce, despite the fact and that a particular human resources planning is the obligation uh, obligation of the human resource develop department, and the real administrations of HR is the duty of the considerable a number of directions in an organization. It is in this way fundamental for all decision and makers and to comprehend and give due to significance and to the deserve human resources and planning and approaches and exercise. Those in the organization human resources planning takes the significance of HRP and its desire impact on the organization. It inspect the different HR from that are related to pulling in, overseeing, persuading, and creating representative for the advantage of the association. And this course material talks about the issues in human and asset arranging in new condition and proposes and conceivable methods for utilizing and arranging HRP and changing patterns in human resources planning have been clarified utilizing contemporary causes and from Indian organizations. Dr. Rita Singh. HRD practices in Indian organization. It is a pertinent and to mention that Indian organizations by the large have a personal and functions integrated with the HRD functions, except for a few and who have a separate HRD department and exclusivity for HRD functions. And most of the organizations therefore unmerely and rattled the designation nation of their core personal and people by either and calling them human resources manager or human resources development manager. 8. There are some organizations who have isolated their HRD as a training function, entrusting the responsibility and to management development officers or principals you and their management development and centers. Public sector gained like a Steel Authority of India Limited, SOL, and Indian Oil Corporation, IOC, NTPC, ONGS, and GOOL, India have set up their own management, development, and institutions, centers, and department undertaking, unlike an Indian ordinance uh, factories. Indian railways also have their separate management development and centers. Many commercial banks, Reserve Bank of India, and regional rural banks and financial corporations of India, IFCI, and industrial credit and investment corporations of India, ICICI, insurance companies like and life insurance insurance corporations of India and central insurance uh, corporations of India have set up their own staff training and colleges and for developing their human resources similarly private companies unlike a Tisco. Kirloskar Group and Reliance, Lakshmi Group and Hinduja Group and Modern Group, Lal Bhari uh, Group, and have their own management development centers to develop and their train and their human resources. There were days when HRD was a interpreted as a highly redundant and department, and the cost involved in a setting up HRD and unit were said unto be a relatively high with no tangible benefits in sight immediately. Employers were not very sure and whether why HR philosophy and would yield any consequent gains. In early 1917s, the situation was sought to be uh, remedy, remedial remedied and through the establishment of HRD units in large organizations. Larson and Tubro was the first company and to design and implement an integrated HRD system, and the first workshop on HRD was held and way back in 1979. The Xavier Labor Relations Insights uh, XLRI was the first academic institutions to set up and fledged center for a HRD, a national HRD network. Was set up in 1985, looking at payoffs from HRD systems, and several leading and Indian companies have gone ahead in creating separate HR departments and to improve employer employee relations. The objectives of HRD and can be listed as follows: and to develop capabilities of all individuals working in an organization in relations to their present role, and to develop capabilities of all such individuals in relations to their um, future role to develop better and give interpersonal and employer employee relationship in an organizations to develop the team spirit, the develop coordinations among different units of an organizations, to develop organizational health by a continued renewal of individual capabilities. Objective of HRT and can be made clear when we highlight the importance of human and resources in line and with the examination process. The BRIC Baldrige Award, and which is the given at an international level unto a quality organization objectives of HRD and practices. In an organization should be to put efforts and to develop realize the full potentials of the workforce and including management and to maintain an environment um, conducive to uh, total participation and quality leadership and personal and organizational growth in an organization. There are 6 units and which are concerned with the HRD, and namely persons, role and day and team, inter team, inter-team and organizations. The effectiveness of one contributes in turn to the effectiveness of the other. And HRD objectives can also and be coached in line with the W. Edward Demings and 14 principles for a quality improvement in an organization. Here we won't discuss the 14 principles, as but we will focus on only those and points which are related to HRD and objectives. There are institute training on the job, break down barriers between departments and to build uh, teamwork, drive the year out of the workplace and create conditions to enable employees and to take pride in their workmanship. Institute program of education and self-improvement. 8.2 and 2.4, training, education and development functions. There are a lot of misconceptions about training, education and development functions. With HRD, essentially HRD activities are designed to make people an uh, effective in their present job positions, and which is a part of the training and functions. But when the focus is one on future identifiable and job, it becomes a part of the education function. Education function and for future unidentifiable able jobs, I have to develop capabilities and for a future positions or new activities mm, within the organizations and which are not very specific at the present stage, and it becomes a part of the development functions. Without precisely knowing the functions of a training, education and development, it would further make it difficult and for us and to appreciate the objectives, role and uh, significance of HRD in an organization. In an succeeding paragraphs, we will take uh, cursory and view of their functions. And before we elaborate on their issues of HRD training. Concerns people already employed with the organization and whose job are so defined that we are able to identify and what should be the desired job behaviors. The focus on training programs and should be such so as the enable the individual and to perform more effectively in these present job positions. Training is also needed, and when a person is hired without the requisite skills, attitudes, or knowledge, or after putting the uh, micro level HRD has a concerns for grassroots development in the organization, small wonder, and then uh, then then their HRD was well received by a company's management as they realize uh, its importance and for so its future contributions for the individual and organizational development. Generally, HRD at a micro HRD is a involvement in all these areas. It's mainly with an objective to develop certain and newer capabilities in people and consent to equip them and to meet the present job challenges and to accept future job requirement, uh, revising the definitions, role, significance, and purpose and objectives of HRD, purpose and objectives of HRD. It is evidence that HRD department of an organization focuses on the following important areas. Increasing the enabling capabilities and by developing human resources and organizational health, team spirit, and increasing employee motivations and productivity. Second thing, to focus more on balanced organizational culture by uh, conducting periodic surveys and workshops and uh, uh, discussions simulating open openness and a mutual trust, team spirit, and creativity initiatives. mm, maturity maturity and collaborations, delegations, autonomy, respect, and management of a mistake, management of a conflict, etc. Third one, focus on learning and contextual factors. factors from different uh, professional bodies, NI, PM, IST, and HRD network, IMA, etc. And these professional bodies publications, seminars, and workshop and share the experiences of the corporate world. Focus on periodic reviewing of HRD system and which may call for a redesigning performance appraisal, job rotations, reward system, career planning, promotion, selection, and inductions. Focus on integrating focus on integrating HRD and with other corporate functions and like productions, making, marketing, finance, material, and corporate planning, etc. Such a integration will strengthen to the development of an enabling organization. Focus on diffusion of HRD functions involving line managers in various HRD aspects and like training of subordinate uh, performance appraisal promotion placement selection and career planning etc line people and by virtue of their reach uh, experience may effectively contribute unto these HRD areas. Moreover, their active associations will accentuate on the process of developing an integrated HRD system in an organization. Focus on working with unions and by taking them into confidence and collaborating with them that unions can also play a position's role in furthering on the organization is the evidence from a number of example and syndicate bank employees recently very recently collaborated with the management and the reduce the non-performing assets assets. I have bad debit realizations. HRD matrix 8.2 and the HRD matrix shows the interrelationship between HRD instrument processes and outcomes, the organizational effectiveness, HRD instrument, and these include performances, appraisal, counseling role, uh, analysis, potential development, training, policies, and job rotation, rewards, job enrichment programs, etc. And this instrument may vary depending on the size of the organization and the internal environment and the support and commitment of top management and the competitive policies, etc. B. HRD processes. The HRD instrument lead to the generation of HRD of a process like role clarity, performance planning, development, climate, and risk taking, dynamism, dynamism in employees. Such HRD process should result in more competent, satisfied, and committed people, and that would make the organization grow by contributing their best to it. HRD uh, HRD documents, instrument, and a process make people more committed and satisfied, uh, where they tend and to give their best to the organization enthusiastically. Organizational effectiveness and dimensions such such HRD and outcome influence the organizational effectiveness, and which in the turn depends. 8.23 HRD practices in Indian um, organization. It is a pertinent and to mention that Indian organizations by and large have personal and functions integrated with the HRD functions. Experts for a few who have a separate HRD departments and exclusively for HRD functions, and most of the organizations are therefore merely rated the designation of their core personnel and people by either calling them human resources manager or human resources development manager. 8. There are some organizations and who have isolated their HRD as a training function. Entrusting the responsibility to management and development officers or principals of their management development centers and public sectors. The giants like steel authority. Authority have set up and their own management development um, development and institutions, centers, departmental undertakings like the Indian Ordnance factories, Indian Railway also have their undertaking like Indian Ordnance factories, Indian Railway also have their um, separate separate management development and development centers. Many commercial banks, Reserve Bank of India, regional rural banks, Financial Corporation of India, and industrial uh, Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation of India, ICICI, Insurance, uh, corporations, Corporation of India, and have set up their own staff training and colleges for developing their human resources. Similarly, private companies and the Tisco, Kirloskar Group, Reliance, Lakshmi Group, Hinduja Group, Modern Group, Lal Bhari Group, mm, have their own management development. Others to develop and train and their human resources. There was there were dates and when HRD was interpreted as a highly uh, redundant department, and the cost of involved in setting up a HRD and unit were said a highly uh, redundant department. The costs involved in a settings up HRD unit and were said uh, to be relevantly high with no tangible benefits inside immediate employment were uh, not very sure, and where the HR philosophy and will yield and concrete gains in early 1970s. The situation was sought to be remedial and through the establishment of a HRD unit in large organization. Larsen and Tobro was the first company and to design and implement an integrated HRD systems. And the first workshop on HRD was held way back in 1979. The Xavier uh, Labor Relations Institute was the first academic institute and to set up a full-fledged Center for HRD, National HRD Network, and was set up in 1985, looking at the payoffs from HRD system, and several leading Indian companies have gone ahead in creating separate HR uh, departments and to improve employee relations, and the objective uh, uh, HRD, a national HRD networks was set up in 1985, looking at the payoffs from HRD system, and several leading Indian companies have gone ahead in in creating separate HR departments to improve employer-employee relationship, uh, a relation, and the objectives of HRD can be listed as follows. First one, to develop capabilities of all individuals working in an organization in relations to their present role, and to develop capabilities of all such individuals in relations to their future role, to develop better interpersonal and develop employee relationship in an organization, and to develop them spirit, to develop coordinations among different units of an organization, to develop organizational health of continuous renewal of individual capabilities. Diverting manpower documents, keeping peace and with the uh, 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 steps in interview process. It is at interview interviewers. It is an act. It is an act. Interviews must be uh, steps in a interview process. It is an act. Interviewers must be treated properly so as to leave a good impression uh, about the company and here. is a list of mistakes generally committed by the interviews. Favor applications who share its own attitude, not asking right questions and not getting a relevant response. Maybe influences by a cultural noise response. The applicant believes are socially acceptable rather than fact. Fourth one, may allow themselves and to be the unduly influenced by associating a particular personally trait with a person origin or a culture background. Stereotyping. Uh, Fifth one, may allow the rating and to be influenced by his own like or a dislikes bias. Poorly deserved candidate in an may allow themselves to be un- unduly influenced by association a particular personally their trait and with the persons. May allow fourth one, may allow themselves to be unduly influenced by associating a particular personality and trait with the person's origin of a cultural background. Stereotyping. Pick one, may allow the ratings to be influenced by his own like or dislikes basis. Sixth one, poorly praised candidate is not in intelligent, attractive themselves. Females are good for public dealings, etc. Hello, effect. Athlete make good salespeople, and seventh one candidate or the rare have been under pursue and to hear at short notice. Nine have been influenced by the behavior is body language, his or her dress, especially in case of female candidate and other physical factors that are not job related. 10.2.4.1 and checking references. An applicant may be asked to, in the application, blank out to supply two types of references, character references. Relations to the this method is that objectively it is rare to get correct options about the candidate and who candidate even after giving the assurance and that the information supplied will be kept confidential. Medical examinations 10.2 4.2. A proper medical examinations will ensure higher standard of health and physical fitness and of the employee and will reduce the rate of accident, labor turnover, and absenteeism. The advantage of medical examination, etc. First one, it serves to ascertain the application. It serves to ascertain an application physical capabilities to meet the job requirement. It serves to protect the organization against the unwarranted claims under workman competition. Loss of against lawsuits for damage. Third one, it helps to prevent communicable diseases entering the organization. Job offer. 10.2, 4.4, evaluations of the selection program, analysis of the program. First one, it is a selection program consists with the HRM theory and practices. Second one, how will depend uh, now enough it. Close it. Okay, thank you.